This is an absolute disaster. On June 15th, robot vacuum prices could go up by 25%, but even more disastrous for PC gaming, graphics cards, desktop cases, and motherboards that are assembled in China, all those prices could jump 25% or more, as I'll get to later in this video. Now, what is going on here? So this is a disaster. I mean, first of all, let's take some prices. So an RTX 4060 right now costs about $300. And if you multiply that by 1.25, you increase its price by 25%. It would go up to about $375. And a lot of people already feel like $300 for an 8GB graphics card is too much. How about a 4060 Ti 8GB that's sitting around $400 that most people laugh off as that's way too much money? Well, increase that by 25% and you're sitting at a $500 product. Oh, and how about an RTX 4070, which sits at around $550? Well, make that 1.25 times the price and you're getting close to $700. What about that 4070 Super? Those are about $600. Let's multiply that by 1.25. Oh, that's gonna be $750. Now, is this what we're actually going to see happen? Well, so what is a tariff and who pays it? Okay, so a lot of people don't really understand this, and I'm gonna be clear, like I talk about PC hardware here. I'm not gonna get to the political situation or talk about which president's doing what. We're just gonna talk about how this impacts PC gaming. So who pays tariffs, okay? I'm not a tax expert, but a tariff is a tax imposed on foreign-made goods paid by the importing business to its home country's government. So in other words, this is a U.S. tax being paid by the importing U.S. business if they're importing these products if they're assembled in China, which is most graphics cards, motherboards, and PC desktop cases. That's not all of them. There's other components as well, but it is most of them. So the importing business will pay this. Now, do you think that importing business is just going to accept that their profit margins will just evaporate with that 25% increase to their cost of bringing in the business? No, absolutely not. So what ends up happening is if they want to maintain their profit margins, they send that off to consumers, your prices go up. Now, this wouldn't immediately affect every graphics card that's in the country because the graphics cards are already in the country, won't pay this 25% tariff. It's at the time of the import, right? So it's happening when the import takes place. So it would be the new graphics cards and other components coming into the country starting on June 15th, where we would be hit by this 25% duty. So there's some time, and apparently this will remain in effect until May 31st of 2025, but the US could choose to renew and extend the tariffs. Now, this is US only, so maybe you're from another country, so you're feeling like, okay, I'm safe. Well, a lot of countries, I think, set pricing based on what they cost in the United States, so you might not be safe either. And there's other things that could make this worse. For example, there is a sudden container crunch sending ocean freight rates soaring, setting off global trade alarm bells. So basically we're seeing the spot prices for shipping going up significantly as well. So that's not good either when it comes to importing stuff. So in general, costs could go up quite a bit worldwide for this. But again, the US tariffs could impact the larger market as well. Now, so that's bad, and that's not just graphics cards. There's a lot of PC components in desktop PCs that are coming from China, and that could cause a lot of problems. So the idea here is obviously to get countries to, US businesses to try to get their supplies from elsewhere and all of that. But that just really hasn't been the case. These tariffs have been threatened for a long time now, but they've kept backing down on them. But this time it looks like they're going through. I guess maybe they could have a last-minute change of heart before June 15th, which, I'm going to hope that happens for the sake of PC builders out there, but we'll have to see. Anyway, so that could be really bad because we're heading into the time period where a lot of people would say that smart buyers should wait for the next generation of graphics cards. All signs point to new generation of graphics cards coming out either at the end of 2024 or the very beginning of 2025, at least for the high-end stuff. But that could be a bit of a disaster because a couple of things. Well, let's look at this. So what kind of generational price to performance changes could we expect? So let's look at the 40 series compared to the 30 series. I'm taking this data from a year-old Reddit post, but it got its sources. I reported on this at the time. They got their sources from a lot of good places of information. This isn't somebody just making this stuff up, but you're looking at the RTX 40 series compared to its 30 series predecessor in a variety of ways, VRAM, TDP, but most importantly, MSRP and price to performance ratio. And you can see that the price to performance ratio on a lot of these products wasn't great. The 4090 versus the 3090 was pretty awesome. Its performance jumped 71%, price to performance ratio jumped 60%, but the rest of these are extremely underwhelming. You can see performance bumps of 49% for the 4080, 4070 Ti was 44% more, but again, when you get price increases along with these, it eats into the price to performance ratio. Where you can see the 4080, while it gives you almost a 50% performance uplift, it had a 72% increase to its MSRP, meaning it was actually negative 13% in a price to performance ratio. So what does that mean? Well, it means that if your graphics cards for your next generation in the 50 series offer you, 30% more performance, but they cost 25% more just due to tariffs, let alone any other price increases along the way, then you get basically a stagnant price to performance situation, which is what happened to the 40 series and why so few people were excited about this. And this is something I really don't like to see. So again, if you get cards like the 4070, 27% performance increase with a 20% price increase, because it was originally a $600 MSRP, meant the price to performance ratio only increased by 6%. Kind of a bit of a disaster there, right? So if we see that again on the 50 series, a lot of people were hoping with the 50 series that we would get a more exciting price to performance increase, because NVIDIA seems to possibly going with this kind of tick-tock strategy where the 20 series, let me put it this way, going back to the 10 series. The 10 series offered a gigantic, just raw performance uplift. The 20 series didn't, but it offered some new features. That was a switch to RTX. You had your DLSS and your ray tracing features, but the price to performance ratio on just raw performance was not great. But then your 30 series offered some big improvements in price to performance ratio. Then your 40 series came in without, as you can see right here, a really unexciting price to performance ratio. However, they introduced the new feature of frame generation, so it's kind of a features generation. So a lot of people are hoping the 50 series is not going to be a features generation, it's going to be a raw price to performance increase generation. But again, if you just wipe out 25% of your price to performance increase generationally, I think we could be in for it could be a bit of a disaster, right? Because PC gaming, I think a lot of people are just really not excited about it right now. And what we need is this massive increase in price to performance to get people excited about it again. And this could wipe it out if this hits. So I really hope that there's some miracle where by June 15th, this gets canceled out, but it's looking like the U.S. Treasury Department is strongly advising that they keep going with this. So yeah, a lot of the PC companies are trying to lobby against this, but that it is what it is. And I'm really pessimistic about this, guys. Hate to say it. So what does that mean? Should you rush out and buy a graphics card right now? I don't know, guys. If you're heading into the summer, you're going to have some time, maybe you're a student, you're going to have some time off and you want to play some games, you were thinking about holding off, I don't know. Nobody can predict the future. I can't 100% tell you what's going to happen here, and maybe this June 15th thing, they'll back off on it. But I don't know, guys. Like I said, if you look at what's going to potentially happen once the cards that were already in here, get sold through, and if it costs the businesses 25% more, I would not be completely surprised if we saw 4060s going for 375, 4060 Ti's going for 500. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong. I hope this doesn't happen. But just be aware that the usual strategy of waiting as you get closer to the next generation might not pay off this time. Anyway, I hope you guys still manage to have an excellent day despite the bad news here.